All right, EXPs, welcome to our latest edition of Pop-Up Interviews. We are going to be joined very shortly by none other than Miss Kesha Boyles, our EXP Elite winner this week. So definitely wave. Let me know where you guys are from. And if you guys have any questions for Kesha, definitely go ahead and drop them in the comments so we can get them answered. She's going to be discussing her journey from brand ambassador to team lead to tour manager, and just discussing some things that you need to keep in mind when you are looking to move up and progress and maintain consistent opportunities as an EXP. I always love doing these interviews because at the end of the day, you guys hear me talking. I'm always putting out free resources, but it's nothing like hearing it from your peers and hearing it from other experiential marketing professionals as well in their journey, because we all have a different journey, a different path that we take to progressing within the experiential marketing industry. And sharing is caring. So why not share, our experiences in the ways in which we have been able to progress in this wonderful industry. So while we wait for her to go ahead and join, I'm going to go ahead and wave to everybody really quick. Again, drop any questions, any comments that you guys have below, and I'll definitely go ahead and make sure that Kesha answers them and that we get to them as well. Couple things I want to just talk about really quick. The agencies to avoid list, or the option to add an agency to avoid, as well as your feedback. That list is going to be, that submission form is going to be coming down tonight. So definitely, if you haven't already, if there's an agency that you feel strongly against or feel one in which EXP should not be working for, definitely go ahead and fill out that form. And I'll be reviewing everything, and then next week sometime I'll be doing that video to talk about what information was gathered from EXPs. Again, it's not something we're doing to blast different agencies. I'm not here to just talk bad about agencies, but more importantly, just continue to evolve and make the industry better and provide different feedback and insight from experiential marketing professionals as well. So let me go ahead and add Kesha. Looks like she just hopped on. So let me go ahead and work to invite her on to the call as well. She should be joining shortly. But other than that, T and I just got in from our 8th month tour. We just spent 2.5 months on the road. So we are having to adjust to being on the East Coast from being on the West Coast. And we are having a tough time. Waking up early, waking up late, and going to bed late is not cool. So any tips you guys have,
Hi.
definitely let me know as to how we can readjust back to East Coast time.
Trying to
But
get it.
she's good.
Trying to
Kesha
center
is
myself.
here. You good?
Hey.
And thank you again for taking the time to join us
Yeah, no
to
problem.
discuss your journey and your experience as an
There.
EXP. So she is our EXP Elite of the Week, and we have gotten some great feedback, some great comments from EXPs who have just enjoyed working with you and just talked about how you have been such a great pleasure to just be around and to manage. So thank you again for just always representing our industry with professionalism and for doing such a great job.
Oh, thanks.
You're
Um,
welcome. So I've already given them the house rules. Everybody's waived. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And just tell us, how did you begin your career? I know we talked briefly when you did a little pop-up that I was doing on Friday, like a month ago. For those of you who don't know, y'all can stroll through and find that video. But tonight, Keisha just gonna go through, be honest, be transparent. This is what this group is about, and just share her story and how she's been able to progress. So let's start with how you begin in the industry.
so my beginning started when I was in grad school. I was living in Alabama, going to Alabama A&M, and I was studying speech pathology, which I finished, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But so while I was there, I was doing some modeling, like runway and a little bit of print, just to kind of fill in the free time because I was there all by myself and all alone,
Mm-hmm.
and sad tear. But so
But you made it.
I I made it. But while I was there, I was like, if I'm going to do something and I'm not that bad at it, I'm no Naomi Campbell by any means. I was like, why don't I just make a little money doing it at the same time? So I'm sorry, there's like an echo. I'm echoing.
I don't hear
Hold
it too
on.
bad though. It's not bad.
Do you hear it though? Maybe if I turn down my volume.
Yeah, it's not bad though.
It's like I can hear our conversation playing behind us. Can you hear that?
A little, but it's not bad though. It
Okay,
might be.
it's fine. I think it's playing. Hold on. I think it's playing. No, I don't want to leave the broadcast. Cancel. I don't know. I can just like hear what I'm saying after, and then I'm like trying to concentrate on what I'm saying. But it's okay. I
Okay,
can carry
turn
on.
it down a little bit more and see.
I think it's I think if I just turn it down.
Yeah, turn it down a little bit. That might help.
There we go. Okay, that'll work. Okay, here we go. Now that I'm back on task. Number one, don't get distracted. Okay, here we go, for real. But I said, if I'm going to be doing this print and runway modeling, why don't I just make a little money doing it, to kind of help with my financial situation. And so I was looking up different modeling agencies to try to be a part of and things like that. And through that, I found ATN Staffing. Okay. And so I thought it was a modeling agency, which it was not. As everybody knows, it is not. But so I applied, and I eventually got booked for a NASCAR event in Talladega for Windows. And it was amazing. I had a really good time. Like, I actually got spoiled on that first one because the job was like not that hard, and we got a lot of breaks, and well, the staff was just really cool. So it's like, it wasn't one of those nightmare stories that people have. So, and then I also got invited to go to the chalet after the event, and we got all this free stuff, which doesn't happen at every event. So I got really spoiled, and I was like, oh, like people do this for a living? Like, this is really cool. But, so I kept doing the modeling and things like that, because with ATN, as you know, like they only show you what's available in your area. And in Alabama, there wasn't a lot at the time. ATN is they have a lot more now, but then like 3 or 4 years ago, it was like one job every blue moon in Alabama. It was like not happening. So then I worked another event, like maybe 6 months or so later with ATN again. And then I worked an event with Beats in Little Rock, and me and my sister actually did that one together because they needed 2 people. And I was like, well, hey, I have someone that looks just like me, so you should hire both of us. And so we did that. So I really didn't dive into doing this full time until I graduated from A&M, and I moved to Atlanta. And I was there, and I was studying for my praxis, which is like the big test for speech language pathologists. And I didn't do too hot on the test, didn't pass the test. And so I basically just took that as a calling that maybe this isn't what I should be doing. Like, for some reason, it was just not working out for me. So I had kind of been looking into I had done a couple of promo jobs while I was in Atlanta, and I was like, why don't I just do this full time? Like, people talk about they do it full time. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. So unfortunately, I didn't have all the help that's like available now. Even 2.5, 3 years ago, like nobody was. I was actually telling somebody this earlier today. Like, nobody wanted to help me. Like, at the beginning, like I got help once I got started, and I guess I started meeting the right people. But it was like, oh, so you do this full time? And yeah, I do this full time. Like, I get hired all the time, and sometimes I go on the road, and I'm like, oh, well, who do you work for? Oh, I can't remember the company I was working for. I was just like,
that's messed
up.
Okay,
well, it is what it is. That's fine. I've gotten so used to figuring it out on my own. It is just fine. So it definitely was a more difficult road to progress faster in the industry than it is now for me. I know that's not the case for everybody, because I'm a person that I like to excel very quickly. So for me, it was tough to have to I was literally Googling brand ambassador jobs, because nobody told me about Facebook. Nobody told me about all that stuff. I mean, the Facebook stuff, I feel like, is the easiest thing to start with, and nobody told me about that. I was probably a year full-time in before I found out about the Facebook pages, which is, I was like, I guess I should have thought of that on my own, but if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So it was a really hard journey, I would say, to get started, but because of my leadership background in college, because I was in a sorority, or I am in a sorority, excuse me, still in it for life, ski-wee, but ski-wee for life. But so I was vice president and president of that sorority, and then I was in other leadership positions in school, so it was just I was used to doing the groundwork to get something done. And if anybody read my bio, I did a program in undergrad where I basically implemented the idea and implemented the footprint and everything. So I had the criteria and the skill set and the experience to do promo work. So that's why I really wasn't bothered or upset by the fact that I didn't get a lot of help initially, because I already had the know-how to get it done and to be to where I am now. I just didn't know where to look. Like the metaphor that I used today with the individual I was speaking with was, it's not that I needed somebody to open the door for me. I just didn't know where the doors were.
Yeah.
So it's and if you don't know where they are, you can't get to them to open. Yeah, you don't know where to look. So thankfully, for doing enough jobs, I met the right type of people that were at least willing to point me in the right direction. And so through that, I basically worked as much as I could in Atlanta. I had to move from Atlanta after Super Bowl 52, after Minnesota. I had to move after that, very suddenly. So I moved to Dallas, and shortly after Dallas, I got introduced to a company called Store the Community, and they're based out of Arkansas. Store Celebrations and Store the Community, they're kind of combined now. But they are the company that got me my first tour position. So, and thankfully, for every tour position that I've been working, my brother has worked with me as well.
Good.
I know, and he's only 19. He's very new to the game, so he's very fortunate as well, to be able to just dive right in. So we started just as brand ambassadors, just helping out on a couple of tours that were not that far away. And then they asked us to basically take over for a Nerf tour. And we did that for 6 or 7 weeks. And then what else have we done with them? We recently did, over these past 2 or 3 months, we did a back to school tour. And then we did Nerf in Canada, which was so much fun, had a blast. So I really, apart from there were a lot of people towards, I would say in the past year and a half, that have really been there for me as far as in the industry and given me the know-how that I need to get where I am now. I also attribute it to my professionalism training and leadership training that I got from the University of Arkansas as well, because I spent a lot of time devoting into those organizations and leadership positions. So I think just the combination of both of those have gotten me to where I am now. I just keep, like I said before, I'm a person that strives for success very quickly. So I want to make sure that I'm always moving. And sometimes that can be hard, but I keep going, girl.
And
that's I guess that's a very long version of
it's
how
cool.
I got here.
It's cool. And I want to rewind for a minute and just talk about something that you said, the fact that people wouldn't help you. And when I first began in the industry, I worked a Craigslist promo, and I didn't know where I was going. I know I was going to be a promotion model, and long and behold, I was working as registration for Cadillac here in Atlanta. But I met a young lady who provided me with a list of over 6 pages that I was going through while working at the Marriott as a front desk receptionist. So the hustle was real for me. Like, I was working 2 jobs. I had 2 college degrees, and I still, kind of like you, I was like, I don't feel like my degrees is really what I really want to do. Like, I wasn't happy. So I was just hustling to, I was staying in my mom's basement, hustling to help pay my portion, because she made me pay rent. Then mom didn't let me stay for free. I had to be responsible. And paying my little student loans, because that I had accumulated, just a few, to get my master's that I was working on. But I didn't have people besides that list. I had to spend the time. I had to hustle. And even when I got on site, oftentimes, when I would ask people the same questions you asked, oh, I don't remember, or I'm, you'll just have to look and find out for yourself. People were not
Yeah, you just
very,
have to look it up. It's online.
and people were not very
Okay.
people were not very forthcoming with that information.
No.
And over time, I learned that in EXPs, at the end of the day, what's for you is for you. If you can offer a piece of advice, or just name a few companies that someone can go ahead and register with, you may not work with those companies no more, because they may not pay at the level in which you should be compensated. But if you know somebody who's looking to begin in the industry, who's looking to learn about experiential marketing, definitely help them out when you can, because at the end of the day, what's for you is for you. You're going to be blessed regardless. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've helped so many people and I've gotten it back tenfold. Either they were in a position where they could provide an opportunity to me because they didn't feel qualified, or vice versa. So, that whole stigma around EXPs, we gotta work to break that, because at the end of the day, it's enough money to go around. There's enough opportunities to go around for
Yes,
everybody.
very much so.
Agencies look for different people. Clients look for different demographics to serve as managers, as leads for their programs. So if you know somebody who's qualified, if you know somebody who is able and will represent you, because I know some people don't like to refer people, but if you feel somebody is truly qualified for the position, lend a helping hand, because it's going to come back tenfold. Maybe not from that person, but from somewhere else. So I
Yeah.
definitely just want to touch on that, because that's something that I hear a lot of times, and I hear from EXPs
Yeah.
often, that
And
people don't want to share. So, and if you
yeah,
don't
and
want
I
to share,
understand.
refer
Yeah,
my
I
book.
understand the whole refer. I understand the whole refer thing. I totally get that, because I feel like that's a main. I feel like people try to use the I don't want to refer people thing as an excuse not to help people.
Mm-hmm.
You can help somebody without referring them,
Mm-hmm.
because my main thing that I always do, even if I met, like, because you don't know what Jack and Evelyn and Cynthia has going on at their house. Like, you don't know what type of person they are, or what they may be going through, or what type of help they really need. So yes, it may not be the best idea to refer them, because I don't know them. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always the safe thing to do. So what I do personally, I say, hey, this is my Facebook, my first and last name. I mean, you can Google it. Everybody can find it, so it's not like it's private information.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, go on Facebook. You can look up brand ambassador of any city or any state. If you have any questions, you message me. I will answer them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I feel like that simple statement gives them a broad enough go to where they can, at least they have somewhere to start, other than, oh, well, there's companies out there, you just got to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least I gave them an avenue to go towards.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I feel more comfortable with sharing more, then I share more.
Mm-hmm.
But to keep giving an excuse to not help people is really, it's just really sad.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, but I
And
mean,
and
that is
not
what it
and not
is.
only that, when you're referring people and people are reaching out to you, you'll be able to tell if somebody takes the time to go ahead and follow up with you, and takes the initiative to say, hey, Jay, I want to learn more. What do you have? How can you help me? Those are the people that really serious and really want help. We meet a lot of people that say, oh, I want to get in. I want to do what you do. But how many people
Yeah.
willing to sit down and spend 4 or 5 hours filling out different profiles and registering with companies.
Ooh,
It takes time.
it's a whole day of work. It's
Yeah.
a whole day of work. You spend your Monday and your Tuesday on the computer, like trying to find these jobs, trying to find new companies, new marketing agencies. It's a job within itself. We should figure out a way to write that off.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. Not
Office
for real.
expense.
I'm being funny, but I'm being for real too. We need to find office time
Yes.
deductible.
If you have an LLC, there's a way to do it.
Okay. Another conversation for another time. I'm
Yes,
still
yes.
establishing myself, still trying to decide if that's the avenue for me. I did watch your video on that, by the way. I was like, see, it's like you're speaking to my soul.
Yes.
But
You can
yeah.
do it, but you just take baby steps. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
Take baby
Like
steps.
I'm still wet behind the ears, so we gonna get there.
So with you still learning the industry, but you've been able to progress so quickly. I know you mentioned the fact that because you came from your university and they taught you a lot of professionalism and a lot of the skills that you've been able to implement in our industry. But as we know, no day is the same. So
No.
what have you seen from managers that you've worked under, from agencies, from other EXPs? What have you seen that has been some things that you feel like, yes, I want to do, and then, nah, you know what? I'm good. I'm not going to be that type of person or that type of manager. I know it's a two-part question, so.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So I think there definitely has to be a balance as far as if we're going to talk about if we're going to talk about being a good or bad manager and things that I like and don't like. There's a balance because because we're in an industry that deals with people. So for one, you have to be a people person, and you can definitely tell some people get hired and it's like they
Look.
ain't never seen a person in their life. I'm like, dude, do they have friends? And not to be mean, but it's like, do you have people that you interact with and you say these things and they think it's okay? Because there just has to be a common level of decency with people, and some people unfortunately do not possess that. Some people are what we would like to call socially awkward that are in these positions. They just don't necessarily know how to relate to people. So there has to be a type of relatability that this person has to be able to possess. Even if you are on the negative side of what people would call a good manager, even if because I think the big one that most people don't like is a micromanager.
Yeah.
Okay, even if you're a micromanager, she nitpicks every single little thing. She may nitpick every little thing, but at least she doesn't bark her orders at you.
Yeah.
She's gonna notice if you didn't do this. She's gonna notice if you didn't do that. That may be the fact that she's nitpicky may be annoying, but at least she knows how to talk to you in a manner like, hey, Kesha, could you actually turn this way, because I really want the client wants to be able to see it this way, other than turn that around. You know what I mean? You have to know how to talk to people,
Yeah.
even if you have negative traits that may either people don't like or may annoy other people. So I think relatability is the main thing that people need to possess if they're going to be in any position, brand ambassador, product specialist, manager, anything, because if you don't know how to talk to people in an industry to where all you do is talk to people,
Yeah.
you're probably not gonna make it that long. I'm so sorry, boo. I'm so sorry. Those are the two biggest things that I think other than professionalism, obviously. But if you aren't able to go with the flow, then everything, not only is everything going to stress you out, but everything is going to be so much harder than it has to be. Because if you aren't adaptable, you can be closed-minded, you can be stuck in your ways, you can be hard to deal with, you can be stressful or stress other people out. And so it makes it to where everything is so much harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
So I would say, if I'm going to describe, and this is definitely a vague description, obviously, of someone who would thrive in this industry. You have to be professional, which that has its own list of things. You have to be adaptable. You have to be willing to be a leader and also be a chief and also be an Indian. You got to be able to be both.
Yes.
And then you also have to be able to relate to people, not only know how to talk to people, but how to talk to different people. Kind of like in as far as like in speech, when you're talking about that, it's called code switching. I know most people probably know what that is, but it's like when you talk to your mom, you sound one way, but when I talk to you, I sound a different way. It's more about the mannerisms and the tone and the voice that you're giving off to someone. Yeah, conveying and expressing to a person. You have to be able to, even if you're not great at reading people, you have to be able to kind of quickly analyze what type of environment that you're in and give off that same amount of energy. Not everybody wants the cheerleader, and not everybody wants the quiet type. You have to know when that version of you is an appropriate person to give off.
That's good. That's good insight. That's good information, because a lot of people don't understand. They think one way is the best way, but you, like you said, you have to be able to adapt. And part of being a team player is being able to bring the best out of everybody on your footprint. Because if the manager is not great and has a bad attitude, that's going to resonate with the EXPs and then with the consumers. So all of that affects how an event is executed, and a lot of managers really don't take that into consideration.
Yeah, and it can also affect, how many jobs you get, because if you're not a person that can not necessarily not be yourself, because everybody has different versions of yourself, because you're not the same person on Monday that you are on Wednesday. I mean, right. In the grand scheme of things, you are, but like attitude-wise, different things shape different outcomes. So if you're only able to be that cheerleading person all the time, then there may be a client that may not want that type of person. And so they won't book you because that's all they ever see. Even, in your video reel, in your pictures and stuff like that. That's why models take so many different types of photos, to show that they can have different types of looks. You have to be the same way in your personality. Well, not in your personality, in your persona, I guess would be more accurate. You have to be able to showcase that you can be these different versions of yourself, and then that will give you these different types of jobs.
That's so true. EXPs, I hope y'all taking notes. She dropping gems tonight. She dropping gems.
Don't do that. You're going to make me blush.
So you were in ATL, Arkansas is where you're from. Now you're in Dallas. Do you travel? Let's just talk about that real quick from a brand ambassador, EXP standpoint. Do you travel through different regions? And if so, do you account for, because I tell EXPs, you got to look at the drive time, the mileage, the compensation. How do you determine whether or not it makes sense for you to actually take on opportunities outside of your market?
So for me, I usually go to, if I'm going to travel like far, and I would say like went far is like from one side to the other side of the US, like I usually pick a big event. Like I'm not going to go for, art festival. I'm not going to go for 3-day art festival. I'm going to go at least for, a big tech conference or a Comic Con or a Final Four. Those are usually the events that I will travel really far for, if I'm having to take out of my own pocket. Now, if somebody pays for me to go, I go wherever you want me to go, honey. I'll get in that car, I'll get on that plane, I'll go wherever if you paying. But as far as it coming out of my own pocket, it literally just has to make financial sense. Like, am I going to spend more than I'm going to make? And obviously, yes, there's a cut that's going to come out from what you spend, but it just has to make sense as far as your budget, your bills. Different people owe different stuff. Different people have different things going on. People got kids, people got wives, people got cats, people got plants. All these things got to be taken care of. So it's like, it really just has to make financial sense. So for me, I don't have any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, so for me, it just, I can afford to spend more.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to travel more. But I will say for smaller events, like I'll go to Chicago because I have a friend that lives in downtown. So all I have to do is pay for the flight and food. I don't have to pay for lodging, and lodging's a big one. But to
Yeah.
fly from Dallas to Chicago is nothing. It's like one of their main flights. So it's not an expensive flight, and sometimes I can get it super cheap if I go at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of plan to see her, and then I just make a work trip out of it, and then I'll
Right.
do that for other places as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say if you're looking for a reason to go and visit a friend, go work and visit them at the same
Yes.
time. I call it
Mm-hmm.
workcations. That's what I call it to make it make sense in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm making
Mm-hmm.
money while I'm visiting her. It's all good. So
Yeah.
I do that. And then like for Arkansas, um, once again, that's where I'm from. And then that's where I went to school in Fayetteville. So whenever there's jobs in Fayetteville, I go to work and also to spend time with my family because I have a lot of family that lives up there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's really the main two. It has to make financial sense for me. If I'm coming
Mm-hmm.
out of my own pocket, if they're paying, obviously they
Mm-hmm.
paying, they paying. So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then also I go places where I know people,
Yeah.
so that way I'm not out as much money.
Yeah.
So it's like, flight or car, and then food. So, and then
Yeah.
if you're like being really smart and making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which I don't make those, but people do. People be out there eating rice cakes for 3 days.
Yes.
I got to eat real food. I don't know. I need at least a salad with some cranberries or some cheese, some something on it. I can't do the rice cakes and peanut butter crackers for 3 days. People do it though, and I
Yes.
commend them. They be out there
Yeah.
spending no money, and I want to be them so bad, but I cannot because I got to eat
Yeah.
like every two
Yeah.
hours.
A hot
So,
plate and where I lay my head, those the top two things for me. I can't, I have
yes,
to, yes.
yes,
So I
people be
feel
having
that.
hot plates. I'm like, see, I'm not a veteran, y'all. I'm really not. People out here really doing it. Like when they go and stay at these Bonnaroos and Lollapaloozas, they camp out there. I'm like, they are the real deal. I am nothing. Like I am spoiled. I'm like, I need a bed, and like, I'm pathetic. It's fine.
But speaking of finances, you transition, so this is what you do full time. What advice do you have EXPs? What advice do you have, excuse me, for EXPs from a financial standpoint? Like just a couple things that they need to keep in mind. If they have
um,
work or looking to transition full time, or they're already like working full time. What are some things you've been able to do to maintain consistent work and to financially, make sure you're not in debt or you're able to stay afloat?
Yeah, this year's been interesting, but I have stayed afloat, you guys. Some people already know what I'm talking about. It's okay though. I'm here. But what I did at the beginning of the year was I put a number in my head. I didn't try to do like a yearly number because that number gets really big and people get all wrapped up in the how many Ks they want to make in a year number. So I was like, a month. Like, I gotta hit this, but I can live off this one. Like,
Mhm.
so I set the number I really wanted to hit, but I also had that number like, it can't be lower than this. Like, it just, bills won't get paid if it's really below that. So with me always striving for that top number, I'm able to like, kind of gauge like, okay, if I take this job, I'll make that. If I take this job, I'll make that. And then I'm able to kind of plan my life around that. Like, okay, so I made, well, I don't know, 2 grand this past week or whatever. So now, now if something goes down, I could take off this week or whatever because, I've driven myself to that top number. That way I'm not shooting for the bare
Off
minimum
it.
number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like when you make, when you get your credit card payment, you don't pay that minimum balance. Go on and pay above. That way if
Yes.
something happens, you won't be hurting if you got to pay that
Yes.
minimum amount. So that's really, like, I guess that's what they say about goals, though. Like, you have to write it down. You have to, like, put that number or that time limit on you. So for me, I put a number in my head and I said, this is the number I want to make. This is the number I can't make less than. And so for different people, that's different numbers. For one person, it may be 2,000. For another person, it may be 8,000. It just depends on their lifestyle, what they are okay with having, with not having. And I think that also plays into a part of when I switched from full-time, from doing this part-time to switching full-time. Like, I had to get out of my head of everybody else around me making certain numbers. Like, I can't worry about what Angie is making and what so-and-so is making and what for them is a number that they feel like, oh, if I'm not making this amount of money, I'm not da-da-da-da. Like, you have to be fine in your bubble.
Yes.
And be okay with your number.
Yes.
And don't worry about everybody else's number, because that's what gets you messed up, when you're worrying about everybody else instead of worrying about your own stuff. And I think we've all been victims of that. I know I ain't I can't be the only one. It's like I get so wrapped up in hearing all the numbers that it turned into I was working to work. And I wasn't working for the original purpose that I did this. I originally did this because it's a job I enjoy, that I happen to make good money at.
Correct.
Decent to good to great money at. And so it literally turned into, oh, well, I can't take that job because this. Oh, I can't take that job because that. And I just got in my own head. And so it causes unnecessary stress. You're making things harder than it has to be, versus just do a job you enjoy, shoot for that number, have a realistic number, say your prayers or cross your T's and dot your I's, whatever it is that you do, because everybody does different stuff. And I'm all for you doing what you got to do. And it will take care of itself in due time. It will. You just have to keep going. You have to keep grinding, and you got to stay in your lane.
Run your own race. Don't worry about run your own race.
You got to run your own race, because ain't nobody else going to run it with you. They're going to try to beat you, but they ain't going to run with you. So, yeah.
So, resumes, headshots. Have you had to consistently adapt and change your resume? What have you noticed when you're speaking with account managers that they either hone in on or that they love as a trait that you possess or that you have on your resumes, or just in general?
So, bit of honesty. They don't really ask me a lot about my resume. I submit my resume, and my resume is accurate. Hope everybody else's is. But, I guess there's companies when I first sign up with them, or agencies I first sign up with them, they may ask me a little bit about it, but usually it's, if they call for a job, they may ask, oh, well, have you worked this type of job before? Blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, when you submit through your resume and it says all that stuff on there, and then they ask you all the questions as if they've never seen the resume. That's how it is. So I've never been a staffing agent or a booking manager, so I don't know how any of that works over there, and I'm not going to act like I know. But from my perspective, all I know is how I feel, and how I feel is that they don't look at that resume that I worked so hard on. I think that they see the titles, and then they ask me, and I kind of feel like they're really trying to more gauge me as a person.
Yeah.
Even though, so that's kind of why I know that they've had to have looked at it. I know in my head they had to have looked at it, but it's like when they're asking me questions that is obviously on there, it makes me feel that way. But I know what they're doing is they've read they've at least looked at it. They've scanned it, because they say on average a person only looks at your resume for like 8 seconds is what they say is the average is. It's something real small. I was like, oh, okay. So they've at least scanned it. And then I think that's why they want to do the in-person interview and they want to do a telephone interview, because they want to hear your voice. They want to hear how quickly you respond, how confidently you respond. If what you say matches what you put on the resume,
yeah.
if what you say matches what you put. And then they also just want to see like how you look, how you express yourself and things like that. Because I was talking to somebody about headshots today. I said, luckily with headshots, body shots, I said, fortunately with promotional work, it doesn't have to be like a print photo like in modeling. Like it doesn't have to be this super glam, you know, Miss Texas hair type of photo shoot. It can literally be nice, solid background, nice, solid, complementary color shirt. Complementary color. Not this one, y'all. I wore this one because it's comfy, not because it's necessarily. I literally look like the same color. Don't do this for a photo. Okay, it's not a good idea. I'm just letting y'all know. Just letting y'all know this is not the photo shoot shirt, okay? But a complementary color that doesn't wash you out and doesn't make you look darker than what you are. Yeah. And just, you can actually, with phones now, you can just do portrait mode. And then you can edit it from your phone and it looks like a nice, it just has to be a nice, clean photo with not a lot of background, not a lot of stuff, not cars and people and all that in the background. And you need shoulder, 3/4, full length, and then a picture of you working. I said, that's really all you need. And you can do all that from your phone. You don't have to pay, which if you want, I'm not against getting nice headshots because I like nice headshots and I need some more really bad. So if you want to hire somebody, by all means do. But if you don't have the means, it's not an industry where it's required. And so thankfully you're able to get around that because for some things it is required to have professional photos. So yeah, so I kind of went on a tangent, but I'll go back to say, I feel that the main point of the interviews is to basically feel you out as a person in action. Since they can't necessarily see you in the field, they're trying to gauge your personality within a couple of minutes, which can be very hard to do.
Yes.
Because once again, you don't know people. So all you have to go off of is a piece of paper that you pray is accurate, that you would hope is accurate. Some people, and then you have to go off of, that the energy that they're giving you over face-to-face is genuine. So it's like, it has to be an instantaneous decision. So I guess can't really take it personally. Yeah. If something that you did or something that you didn't say or said or didn't say, basically didn't rub them the right way. So it's definitely beneficial to, I feel like, as far as like resumes and headshots, simple headshot, simple body shot. You don't got to go and pay all this money unless you want to. If you want to get some photos, get you some photos, boo. Get your photos. But clean I know I'm goofy. Don't mind me.
You fine.
Get your portrait mode on your iPhone, on your Android, whatever you got. Get you a nice clean headshot, smiling, not smiling. Get you a body shot. That way they can see what you look like. And then on your resume, I've seen a lot of resumes. And
let's talk about what you shouldn't do. Let's just give me 2 things that when you see this on your resume, it's like, I'm good. I'm strolling. I could give you a couple of mine, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm trying to think because I've edited. You go first. You go first.
Mine, number 1, when you just list everything. EXPs, I talk about this too. Don't just list all your promotions. If you manage the program, if you worked as a lead, if you worked as a manager, please give me the name of that program, the agency, if you want to list, the duration, and 2 to 3 short, don't have to be long sentences, just short bullet points as to what your roles and responsibilities were, so I can get a gauge of what you actually did. Listing the promos and all the events that you worked, it doesn't help me at all. Also, making sure that your skills and that your contact information is visible and is some separation there, in between all of the programs that you have worked. I'm looking for something that I could easily, when I look at a resume, I could easily hone in on and find the necessary information. Where's your phone number? Where's your email? Valid information. Because sometimes I call and the number is no longer in service, or the email is valid,
I'm
is
sorry.
invalid. And
I know it
also,
happens.
spell check. It's free on
Ooh.
Microsoft Word. It's free on
Grammarly
Google
is
Drive.
there.
Take a few minutes,
Grammarly.
EXPs, to spell check. One thing I learned in school, I read my books out loud, or I read an email out loud before I send it, to make sure it makes sense, when I'm reading it. So definitely, when you're putting your resume together, take time to read things, do grammar checks. Sometimes on my posts, I do my best, but when you are
It's okay. You
submitting
get
for
excited. You just have
opportunity,
so much you need to say. I get it. It's fine. We love you.
yeah, because that can be judged by an account manager, and the first thing they're going to
Can.
say is, man, if they can't do a simple resume or write a simple email, I can only imagine the work I'm gonna have to do on a recap, how much harder I'm gonna have to work. So those are my things. Like, Kesha, what's your
Girl,
2 things?
girl, can I say you just kind of like hit those on the head though? Okay. So I agree with both of those wholeheartedly. So I'm going to describe mine really quick
Yeah.
before I say my things, because my resume I have one with a picture at the top, and then I have one without, because sometimes it downloads, sometimes it don't. And then I have my contact info align, my skills align, and then I have brands related to the job listed under that. I have like five or six. So if it's an auto job, I have Goodyear, da 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 da. So then in the body of my resume, I have four. I pick 4 or 5 depending on how much room I have. Jobs. I put the title. I put the brand / where it was, if it was a big event like Final Four or something like that. And then I put 3 to 4 bullet points of what I did, or how long it was, or how many people I managed, whatever I feel like is important in them 3 or 4 bullet points. And so that way they can see four described jobs, but they can also see down at the bottom under brands that I have done other things as well. So it's like you can incorporate a list, but just to give me this huge list of stuff to look at, that goes back to you only have 8 to 10 seconds to make this first impression. And if all they see is words, like just words, like they're going to be like, okay, like
Next.
they're going to, and so that goes back to, so I guess I want to say the biggest thing that I look at when I edit resumes and when I was in the Professional Development Institute in college was the biggest thing that everybody got marked on in their resumes was inconsistency. There definitely has to be consistency in the resume. If you're going to use a color to highlight manager, brand ambassador, use the same color, use the same size, use the same font. People do weird stuff. If you're going to use 3 bullet points for the first one, use 3 bullet points for all of them. Because when there's inconsistency, it stands out. So then it makes you seem disorganized. And
Yes.
so everything has to be very cohesive. I remember you saying that people have these super long resumes that be like 5 and 6 pages. I don't know why they would want to write 5 and 6 pages, if it's because I'm not. And I always hear you say like 2 or 3, but I actually am going to disagree and
Okay.
say, I'm going to say 1. You
Okay.
don't, I honestly, and I've always felt like that. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I've been taught too. They said you can do two, but they're not going to look past page one.
Yeah.
Honestly and truly, unless they are really into you to hire you full time, this, or they're really trying to get to know you as a person, they may read through it all. But if they're hiring you for a 3-day registration, they're not going to read through 2
Yeah.
pages. Let's just be real. So it's like
Yeah.
they're going to look at that. They're going to look at that first page, and it has to be right there, and everything has to scream out at them at once. So that's my one thing. You can say plenty in one page. You really
Yeah.
can. If you're keeping up with your jobs, keeping the jobs relevant, because I have a master list that I make. So every time I work, I put the title, the position, what brand it was or whatever, and then I put at least 3 bullet points. Sometimes I put 4. I have different ones, but I put all of that on one list. And so then as my jobs change, and as, every 3 or 6 months, I recycle that stuff. So literally all I have to do is copy and paste. So that way I don't have to change my whole
A
template
whole
of my
resume.
email, my resume and all that. So that way every time I submit to somebody, they don't keep seeing the same resume too. Because now they're thinking, oh, well, does she still work? Or why is there a gap? Because that's a big thing too. They look at
Yep.
gaps.
Yep.
People
They
look at
do.
gaps in your resume and they want to know why there's gaps in your resume. And then you have to explain that. Well, why? And then once again, your job, it has to be relevant to the job. You can't be applying for product specialists and all you have is jobs of you doing directional at the conferences and the
Yeah.
workshops. Like, they're like, okay, but have you
Yeah.
been around a car? I can't tell that you have.
Yeah.
So I'm just a very organized person. Let me start off. And I'm an overdoer, y'all. I have a resume for every type of job
And you
already made
should.
up,
And
which
that's
some
not
people
being
don't.
a,
And that's fine if you want to do all that
yeah.
extra work. But I have templates. I have email templates. I have resumes. I have cover letters, like dry bone ones, ready to go. That way, when I apply for the job, I can either send it as is, or I can doctor it and change different parts and then send it to where I don't have to redo it every single time.
Yeah.
Because
And that's,
if you're doing the job, like we said, on the Mondays and Tuesdays and applying all day, you do not have time to go and change a resume every day. Like, that's why it costs so much for people to edit your resumes. That stuff takes time.
yeah, and people don't understand that, and that's key. And having different variations of your resume is important. So what you're doing is spot on. I highly encourage that, but a lot of people are not willing to sit down and put the time in to create
Yeah.
those different resumes. And then people wonder why they're not getting the same opportunities afforded to them as someone else. You got to be organized, and you got to take not only hustle to get jobs, but hustle to make sure that you are presenting yourself in the best light, and everything that you're doing, you're able to show that in those resumes, so that those account managers or those staff and coordinators see you as a viable EXP for their program. And with the resume, the reason why I say the 2 or 3 pages, because oftentimes when I would interview, agencies will ask me, well, okay, if you work for these different automotive brands, because trying to fit everything on one page can be tough. So what I would tell EXPs, and what account manager told me, maybe if you just create a page where you list, okay, past automotive brands you work for, and you list the brands and the position. So that last page is one where I say you just list the brands that you may have worked for that are relatable to the program in which you're applying for with that resume. So
Yeah.
sometimes they'll look at that page and be like, okay, she's applying for Toyota, but look, she's worked for Honda, Chevy, Lexus, Nissan. So she understands. So
Yeah.
that also is something that the account manager told me would be something that they would have looked at, or they would have liked to see, for
Yeah.
a future program. So I was like, you know what, that makes sense, because sometimes you can't fit everything in 5, 6 pages, and I don't recommend that. But sometimes just listing the brands and the programs that you did and the position, and
Yeah.
just showing the ones in which you were a manager or you worked consistently with that brand is good as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. I guess for mine, I've just put like I think I have like, I don't even remember how many, maybe like 5 to 7. I have them on the side, like underneath my contact and in my skills. Then I have it right there. So for me, I just formatted my resume to be able to fit it. It took me a long time. It took me a long time, but I can understand if formatting is just not your style and you kind of can't, you maybe can't afford to get somebody to edit your resume because it gets pricey. It's expensive. Then yes, I'd totally be, that would totally make sense to just have a list. But like you said, some people just do a resume and it's nothing but lists. And I'm like, okay, but what did you do? Because because they like to see action verbs and they like to see numbers. Those are the two main things that you have to have in a resume. Action verbs, well, amongst other things. But as far as like in the meat of it, you need action verbs and you need numbers. And those are the things that people, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for, but what did you do? Did you observe? Did you create? Did you incorporate? Did you, all these, did you sell? How many sales? How many people did you manage? How long were you on the trip? How big was the trailer? What kind of trailer was it?
How big was your footprint? How many?
All that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for numbers because they want to make sure that they hire somebody that has experience or at least has an idea. Maybe you haven't pulled a 16-foot flatbed, but you've pulled a 16-foot box trailer. Like at least you've pulled something. So it's like, okay, at least they have experience pulling something, or at least they have worked in a 20-foot footprint. Like now we're going to give them 10 more feet, but at least they've done 20 of it. So it's like, they need to know that you at least have some experience or that you already do have the experience.
That's key. Woo. It's a good one. It's a good one. Okay. I kept you a long time, so I got 2 more questions for you.
You good.
Next question, and it's like a fill in the blank. When managing any program, I cannot stand it when EXPs do.
Oh, I got to pick one thing. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm not playing,
multiple.
but I'm.
Pet peeves.
Okay. I don't like being late. I don't like other people being late. I'm just not a fan. Things happen. I'm totally cool with that. Just tell me. Like if I'm a manager and you call and you tell me, hey, I'm gonna be late, something, traffic, whatever you tell me, whether it's real or whether it's not, at least you gave me hey, because we all know, and we all know, okay? But no, people really do be in, stuff be going down. And stuff goes down with me. Ooh, Lord knows. So, but at least give me the common decency and common courtesy to let me know. That way I can at least accommodate you not being there, because it may be one of those things like, oh hey, the trailer, like the door stuff, we can't even get it down, so you just do what you gotta do because we gotta unhinge this thing, or something, the thing's not blowing up, or we don't have power right now, we're waiting on a generator. It could be whatever the issue. There may be something going on to where you being late may not even be an issue because something else is going down, or maybe it's something that I can accommodate and whatever. I need to know. And if I don't know, I can't help myself and I can't help you.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I really don't like to be late, because I don't like to be rushed. I don't like to be rushed, for one. And when you're late, everything's already started and you trying to jump in like you've always been there, and it's silent mayhem in my mind. And then 2, it's just like, I just don't like to be late. I don't like to be late, and I don't like for my people to be late. But I'm one of them people, like, I'm not gonna be on your case if you're late. Like, it's different when it's obviously this is a habit. Now now I have to have a different conversation with you. But don't feel like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
because it
It is
is.
a big deal.
Because I bet if you're in line for them special Nikes that you've been waiting on,
Them
and the door
Jordans.
was supposed to open at 8 a.m., and that door didn't open at 8 a.m., you gonna be upset.
Yeah.
So, like, treat others as you would want to be treated. Like, they don't want stuff starting late. So, that's the big one. But I mean, that's the obvious one too.
Yeah.
And then I also hate when people just like are kind of just like in their own zone.
Entitlement.
I guess entitlement, just like off. Often, I don't know where they're at, but they're not here with me. They're just kind of,
In La La
they're just
Land.
kind of in La La Land. And it's kind of, I'm just like, yo, hey, so this is what we need to do. We need to do A, B, and C before we do this. Because I remember your husband saying during one of y'all's live things that somebody wasn't listening and they ended up getting hurt because they weren't listening. And it's just like when you're not
attentive and you're not
attentive and there with everybody else, stuff becomes harder than it has to be. So I really don't like when people, and the entitlement can kind of come into that, because people are like, oh, well, I already know what I'm doing. I've already worked this and whatever. Like, especially if you're working an event that you've worked multiple times, like you've worked, I don't know, the State Farm. I don't know. You worked State Farm, or you've worked somebody who whatever product specialist with that same company over and over and over. So you're like, oh, okay, I know how this goes. I know what to do. Blah blah blah. That's great, because that cuts into the time that we have to do all this training. That is great. That's fantastic. I'm glad we all know what to do. However, we still gonna get this powwow in. So that way everybody is on the same page. So I try to make sure that, like, I'll actually use me an example. So I'm working toss-up events this week, and I've done them toss-up events a lot. I've done them a lot. Okay, they need to hire me. Okay, they need to hire me. Hey, bro, hire me. Okay, that's how much I've done them. Okay, so but at the same time, so when I got there, a couple of the other workers rolled up, and I'm like, hey, how are y'all? And I'm just naturally friendly, so they kind of assumed that I was the contact, and I was like, hey, I'm Kesha, but I'm not the manager. The manager's over there. So it's like, I kind of make a point, just because I know what's going on, I don't ever want to take over what's not mine. Especially since I'm just a brand ambassador. Well, not like it's adjusting, but you know what I'm trying to get at. And then stay in my role. So I know how, I know how the iPad and all that works. And so I go over to the manager and I said, hey, do you want me to, as people come, do you mind if I go ahead and show them how the iPad works? That way you can do whatever it is you need to do, or do you want to wait till everybody gets here? I said, I know I haven't worked with you, but I have done a few of these. So I'm just offering that, so that way you don't have to stop what you're doing. He was like, oh yeah, that would actually be great, or whatever. So it's like, there are ways that you can be of help without overstepping your boundaries. And so, because if he would have said, no, I'd rather wait for the group. Okay, great. That sounds like a great idea. Then what good would it do if I go behind his back and do it anyway? Like, I'm undermining what he said, and then everybody has to listen to it all over again. So now they're like, well, why is he doing this? She already told, you know what I'm saying? So now it's making him look away. It's making me look away. So it's just like, you have to know when to step in and when not to step in. So I offered the help. He actually appreciated it. So it just worked out. But there's very much managers that they want to be in control of every single facet. So he easily could have been like, oh no, I want to make sure they're all here. I want to give everybody the spill at the same time, blah, blah, which is fine. That's, it both ways work, but you have to know what your place is. And it's not, I can't assume that just because I've been working that event a lot of times as much, but I do love the event. I have a good time. We get out there, people get excited. It's all good. But I can't assume just because I'm the only one working that's worked the event before that it's my show, because it's not.
Yeah.
So you very much have to know your role. So as a manager, I guess I hate when people are late, and I hate when people just assume, because when you assume, we all know what happens when you assume. And then it also can cause, that kind of like power struggle with some people. I'm not like that, but I know some people are. Like, they feel like their feet get cut out from under them, all that blase stuff. And so I guess as a manager, I prefer to just be shown common decency. Like, it's, communicate with me. Let me know this. Like, you may have a better idea than I have. I'm not an expert by any means. Like I always say, I'm still wet behind the ears. I'm still figuring this out too. Because there's definitely people that's in the game that got it way more figured out than I do. But, different opportunities come to different people. So just because I'm in power, no, that's not right. Just because I'm in that superior position doesn't mean that I am the one that has all the answers.
Yeah.
But I am also in that position, so it's also you have to respect the position at the same time. So, and that goes both ways. Just because I'm not in the position, I have to respect the ones that are. Which I mean, I know to do that. Some people don't. It's fine.
Yeah.
We gonna work it out. We gonna figure it out together, y'all. We gonna make it through. But yeah, I think those are like my two biggest things.
Yeah. Communication for me. That's my communication, and just being able to effectively communicate without just being able to communicate and not do it in a way. If you have an issue with somebody, you pull them to the side. But having those powwows before an event and after an event is important. And also being open to constructive criticism, because like you say, I don't get it right every time, and I'm open to suggestions. My way may not be the most efficient way. So we here to get this program or this event ran and executed successfully and efficiently. In any way that anybody can chime in and help, I'm all for it. If it makes sense, though, it has to make
right.
sense.
Yeah, I think all of the things that I said and you've said, it always boils. But we've said that before. Everything always ends up boiling down to communication. Like, you have to be. Everyone has to be communicating, and everyone has to know the chain of command of communication as well, to get that message relayed from the bottom to the top or to the whole group. So it always ends up being about communication.
That's true. So before I let you go, Missy, what are some what are some things that you like to do outside of working in this industry? Like, what do you do in your spare time? What's your hobby?
Ooh, I tell people all the time, I'm boring. So I'm very family oriented. So I go home often. And I go see my mom and my dad. My grandparents, they live next door to my parents. So yeah, I know. I love my family. And I'm actually going home this weekend. My mom's having her annual Halloween party. Whoop whoop.
Oh, cool.
We gonna dress up and have a good time. So that's the big thing that I do during my spare time. I also go to Houston a lot, and I go and see my guy friend. I have a guy friend that lives down there, so I go and see him. Workcation. Okay, y'all, workation. So yeah, we went to the Renaissance Festival this past weekend. That was fun. So I like to when I go and see my parents or my friends or guy friend or whoever it is, I like to go visit people in my free time, because I'm always working and I always work the weekends. So I really just try to spend time with other people that I actually have, deep relationships with, friendship, family, whatever the relationship may be. So, and then when I go and do those things, I try to find little quirky things to go and do, like me and my mom, or we're doing the Halloween party. We went to a Tim Burton festival in San Antonio. I went to the Renaissance Fair and got me a foxtail to wear around all day. I'm kind of weird. I watch a lot of Turner Classic Movies in my free time. I love silent films and black and white films. So if y'all got some good ones, go ahead and let me know so I can watch them. I spend way too much time trying to organize stuff. Like I'm always organizing. What else? I travel. I try to travel just for fun, but I get so, I don't know, this job, this promo life, it's addicting a little bit. Like I always want to work. Like I don't want to miss an event. So it's like, it's hard for me to, I know other people, like they travel once a month, like, oh, I'm not working, I'm traveling. I'm like, I want to work. Like I want to go and work this event. I want to go and work that event. So I get sometimes I get so caught up in wanting to go work the events instead of just going to the events.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to do better. I've definitely got to do better. So that's why I went to the Renaissance Festival and the Tim Burton thing like these past couple of weekends just to try to, I love museums. I love museums. So if anybody wants to go with me to a museum, just know we're going to be there all day. I apologize ahead of time because I read almost everything. But I'm just like, I really like to learn. I know that sounds so nerdy. I just like to learn as much stuff as possible. I don't know if anybody watches those what if videos on Facebook. I stay up all night watching those things. Like I'm addicted to like learning stuff and learning new facts. So that's why I really like museums. So when I travel, I always go to museums.
That's a good problem to have. So don't feel bad about it. I guess so.
Yeah. People say I always know all these weird facts because it's like, because I'm always like fascinated by weird stuff, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, I watch a lot of, so that's what I do. I go and visit my family. I go and visit my friends, visit my guy friend, and I go to museums and I try to find but quirky events to go to. And I really want to get more into like going to Comic Cons and stuff because I want to start dressing up. I'm really showing my
Gabby,
I know. I told Gabby I wanted to go with her, and then I moved. So Gabby, if you're watching, or if you watch this later, I know she usually. Oh, okay, well, she'll see it later. But yeah, because she was like, "Yeah, you gotta go with me," and I was like, "Girl, we gonna go," and then I moved. So, but she goes all the time, and I'm like, "See, I need to do that," because she looks like. Well, Gabby just has a fun time doing everything. Gabby is. Love her. She's amazing. But yeah, I want to do more stuff like that. So I guess, So other than that, I don't rock climb or skydive. I don't do none of that. I'm not skydiving ever. I'm not jumping out of nothing.
It's fun. You gotta try.
You know what? You go for me. You just clip the little camera and be like, Kesha, this for you. As you falling down, I'm be like, ooh, over here. I'm be like this. Ah. I'm not jumping out. I'm so sorry. I'm not doing that. I used to camp when I was younger. We used to go camping a lot. I haven't done that in a while. I should go camping. I haven't done that in a while. But yeah, other than that, I don't have any super exciting hobbies that I do. I collect pins for my jacket. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm telling you. It's a good collectible. But yeah, I really don't do anything super. I don't play sports anymore. I used to play sports. I don't anymore. I used to dance. I don't dance anymore. I don't have any I don't rollerblade or anything. Like I don't do anything like crazy. Like people live these like wild lives, and I'm like, Turner Classic Movies. So yeah.
But it's your version of fun, and it makes you happy. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's really like family. Like I just want to be around my people that I love. That's really what makes me happy. So that's what I spend my free time doing. basically.
That's good. That's a good addiction to have. That's nothing wrong with that. Family first. I'm a
Man,
big
what?
believer of that.
Man,
Hmm.
what? Because ain't nobody got me like they got me. I promise. I promise
Yes.
they don't.
But I thank you for taking the time. I think I kept you like an
Yeah.
hour or so, but thank you so
It's
much.
okay.
We
It's
got some
okay.
comments. I'm gonna just read through the comments real
Okay, cool.
quick.
Because I can't see them. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know why I can't, but I can't.
Gabby said yes. The doors, like having the doors shut. We was talking about that earlier. Everybody
Hmm.
said the audio sounds great on their end, so no issues with audio.
Okay, thank God. It
Um,
stopped eventually, but there for a while, like I could literally hear myself so well that I couldn't even concentrate on it was bad. But anyway,
yeah.
yeah.
Gabby said, Jalila and Keisha, you both have helped me tremendously. Jessica Bradford says
Aw.
she's always helping.
Oh,
Bethany
that's
said
my girl.
hi.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her.
And Bethany said, I have never had pro headshots. I've worked out here for a long time. I have a different resume for each type of promo, demo, marketing tour, street team, alcohol, etc. Good points for the resume. And Kashayla said, Kashayla Martin, great insight, ladies. And Jessica Bradford says she remembers seeing you on the computer. I guess you was working with it. And Sabrina said hi. Sabrina Abel said
Oh.
hi. Sabrina said the St. Louis Museum is amazing. And Bethany said the Ren Fest is one of the largest in the country. TCM is a monthly charge in our market. Family first. I love museums. So,
But yeah, quick shout out to Jessica. So, I don't know if you saw, I posted a happy birthday post to her the other day. And I mentioned on there that me and her, we worked our first event. Well, I believe it was her first event. I know it was mine. I'm pretty sure it was her first, but we worked our first events together. So like we started pretty much at the same time and we've been rocking and rolling ever since. So
that's
that
good.
Jessica is my girl. She's like my A1 as far as promo life goes. We didn't know nothing together. And we
Yes.
figured it out. We figured it out. Gosh, we
Yes.
were struggling. I was
And
like, girl,
she
I don't know. She was like, I don't know either.
and she just waved and liked it. So she
Look,
listed
she
it.
knows. She knows she was there. We were both there out at the NASCAR in Alabama. We was out there together.
But look where y'all at now. She's been
I
an
know.
EXP Elite a week and has done a pop up, and both of you have. So it
Yes.
just goes to show that if you work hard, if you consistently are doing the right things, and if you are putting yourself in a position to progress, it's going to happen. You're going to naturally, the energy is, you're going to attract the right people, and opportunities are going to be afforded to you. So I cannot say enough about YouTube and everything that YouTube have been able to do with regards to just not only assisting other people, but just building your career without having a lot of resources. So
Yeah. And
kudos to you.
but I just want to say again, like, even though I didn't have it at the beginning, like, once I kind of got my feet wet in there, I ended up getting a lot of good people that came through and have given me insight and helped me out. All of y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know I love y'all. So it's like definitely it took time, but there are good people out there that are willing to help you. You just gotta find them, and they'll come in your lap when it's time for them to come in your lap. I just needed, I guess the Lord decided I need to figure it out on my own for a little while, which is
And
fine.
guess what? You will appreciate it more when you in a higher
Man,
position.
what? You ain't said nothing. You ain't said nothing. I know, girl. I know I'm goofy. I know I'm trying to.
You
I
fine. You
I
good.
can't be serious all the time. That's just not who I am. It's just not.
But thank you again.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on, and I appreciate everyone that came in here and commented and listened to my bio,
Story.
listen to my stories, listen to my
Advice.
opinions and my thoughts, my advice, my rants, because there was some in there too, because I'm good for a rant. But I really appreciate y'all. And if anyone has any further questions or, feels,
Definitely reach out because
agrees with me, doesn't agree with me. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Whatever insight or advice that anyone else has, please don't hesitate to reach out. My door's always open. Always.
And if you're looking to hire somebody, EXP Elite, her bio is there. Feel free to reach out to her for
Hire
opportunities.
me. I need a job. I like to work. I'll go on tour for 2 years straight. I promise. I'll go forever. I don't have a
Ooh,
cat or a dog or nothing. No, not for 2 years straight, but I
I'm
will go
about to
for a
say.
while. I'll go for a while. Give me some months, let me get my toes wet. Let me dip
I
my
got
foot
you.
in that water.
Well, all right. So we about to hop off.
Okay.
Thank you again. This will be up for the rest of the day, and then I'm gonna reach out to you real quick with a link to YouTube.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.